Hariom. We are going to discuss the importance of diet, sleep, and celibacy in our physical and mental well-being. Now, why these three only? What is so important in them? According to Ayurveda, these three are the supporting pillars of our health. The Trayopastambhas. The three main pillars are the three doshas, Vata, Kapha and Pitta, the Trayastambhas, and the Trayopastambhas are Ahar, that is diet, Nidra, sleep, and Brahmacharya, which means celibacy, to support them to balance our physical and mental health. Bhagavad Gita also states the importance of diet and sleep in chapter 6 in the verse Yuktahara viharasya yuktacheshtasya karmasu yuktaswapnavabodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. Now, what is health or well-being? According to World Health Organization, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely absence of disease or infirmity. Actually, the organization had proposed to add the fourth dimension also, the spiritual health, but could not define it, and hence it did not become a part of the definition. You can see who has also taken into consideration the health of an individual as a whole, and it is not mere absence of a state of dis-ease. It is a state of I'm absolutely fine and okay, physically, mentally, socially, emotionally, and spiritually also. We can keep it as it is important in the practice of yoga. Let us turn to each of the three pillars one by one. The first one is Ahar. Let us see what Ayurveda has to say about it. It is the first and the foremost pillar supporting to the main pillars, as our entire existence depends on the food we eat. Thus, our diet should be a balanced diet which is able to nurture our body, mind, and soul in a positive manner. Factors which are considered in a balanced diet are nature or prakriti or doshas. Our predominant nature should be given prime importance while choosing what to eat. If our predominant nature is of kapha type, we should avoid milk and milk products like curd and buttermilk. If our predominant nature is pitta type, we should avoid spices and so on and so forth. Second one is preparation. Food should be prepared in clean and hygienic surroundings, and the cook should prepare it with love, for it affects our body and mind. The third factor is combination. Improper combinations of food intake like milkshakes, that is combination of fruit and milk, adding milk and buttermilk together, are harmful for our health. Fourth factor is quantity. Too much or too less quantity of food should be avoided. The fifth factor is the time factor. The time of food intake should be specific, and it should be after the digestion of previous meals. Sixth is the place factor. Even the place where we eat can be specific. Time and place habits give a boost to proper digestion of food. Moreover, the place where we eat should be clean, calm, and peaceful. It should not be dirty, noisy, and crowded. The seventh is the condition of the person. Our mood counts a lot while eating. If we eat in a positive mood, the food gives nourishment to our body and mind. So, our mood also should be calm and peaceful while eating. The last is the dietary rules. Charak Samhita gives general dietary rules which are as follows. Have warm and untouched food. Have food in proper quantity. Have food only when the previous meal is digested. Eat food not having any contradictory potency. Have food in proper place equipped with all accessories. Eat in a relaxed condition. Do not eat too slowly. Avoid talking and laughing during meals. Take food in the prescribed manner. Even Bhagavad Gita gives us certain guidelines about diet. Let us go through it. Bhagavad Gita mainly guides us for the purpose of eating, nature of food we eat, and the effects of the food that we eat. The eighth verse in the 17th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita recommends sattvic diet. Ayus sattva balarogya sukha priti vivardhana rasyaha snigdhaha sthira hridyahara satvika priyaha. Now what is sattvic? The food which is sweet in taste, untouched, stable and pleasant is the sattvic food. And why should we have it? Because it enhances our ayu, that is lifespan, sattva, purity of mind, bala, strength, arogya, that is health, sukha, happiness, and priti, that is delight. According to Bhagavad Gita, the purpose of eating is to succeed in yogic practices. For that, we must focus on diet that is appropriate to us. As diet nourishes our body and mind, food should be taken with the awareness to develop our body and mind for our overall growth. Bhagavad Gita teaches us to surrender, to detach from our deeds by offering it to the Lord. Thus, the food and the deed of eating too should be offered to the Lord so that we do not possess any craving for it. In the 17th chapter itself is described the nature of food. There are three types of food: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Sattvic food is fluidous, lubricating, stable, pacifying the heart, and giving happiness to the person having it. Rajasic food is bitter, sour, salty, hot, spicy, and dry. Tamasic food is the food which is not cooked properly, unfluidous, having bad odor, stale, and which is eaten and leftover food. Lastly, Krishna tells us the effects of eating the three types of food: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic, because you are what you eat. He says sattvic food leads to sattvic deeds and leads to rebirth in a good family. Rajasic food leads to self-centeredness and leads to rebirth in a family having strong attachment to material life. Tamasic food increases apathy and leads to rebirth in an insect or animal family as a wisdomless creature. In short, we can say that the mental qualities follow the type of food we eat and we develop the similar personality type. So, we should be careful of what we eat. The yogic texts Hatha Pradipika and Hiranya Samhita also have a lot to say about that. Yoga gives significant importance to diet, as without proper diet and regimen, practice of yoga would be impossible. Let us quickly go through what these texts have to say about diet. Brahmachari Mitahari Tyagi Yoga Parayana. This is the line in the 57th verse in chapter 1 of Hatha Pradipika. Both Hatha Pradipika and Gheranda Samhita have a special stress on Mitahara. Hatha Pradipika states the definition of Mitahar in the first chapter in the 58th verse, which is as follows. सुस्निग्धमधुराहारश्चतुर्थांशविवर्जितः भुञ्जते शिवसम्प्रीत्ये मिताहारः स उच्यते, which means that the food which is lubricating, sweet, and which fills the stomach, keeping one-fourth part empty, can be called as mitahar. And again, here too, the purpose of eating is to offer food to Lord Shiva. It thus detaches our mind from the craving for food, which helps in focusing on practice of yoga. Gheranda Samhita states that the stomach should be half filled with solid food, the third part, that is one-fourth, with liquid, and the fourth part, that is the remaining one-fourth, should be kept empty for gases to carry out digestion. And the verse is in the 5th chapter, verse number 22. अन्नेन पूरयेदर्धं तोयेन च तृतीयकम् उदरस्य तुर्यांशं संरक्षेत् वायुधारणे. Both Hatha Pradipika and Gheranda Samhita have included Mitahar in the list of 10 yamas, the self-restraints. Both texts have insisted on avoiding overeating as well as avoiding fasting. Both texts give a list of items which help positively to gain strength and energy to a yogi. The prescribed items are wheat, rice, barley, parsley, and swastika, a special variety of rice, milk, ghee, sugar, butter, sugar candy, honey, dry ginger, patolaka, a kind of cucumber, 5 leafy vegetables, green gram, and rainwater collected when the sun is in Magha Nakshatra, the 10th lunar mansion. Similarly, both texts give a list of items which are harmful while performing yogic practices. The list of prohibited items is as follows. The food which is bitter, sour, pungent, salty, hot, green vegetables, sour gruel, oil, mustard, and sesame, and consuming alcohol, fish, meat, curd, buttermilk, pullet, berries, oil cakes, asafoetida, garlic, etc. are completely prohibited. Gheranda Samhita states the importance of mitahara in the practice of pranayama. Gheranda Samhita also states that without mitahar, practice of yoga would be unsuccessful. There's a lot more to say about diet, but now let us go to the second supportive pillar, nidra, which is also called swapnavastha, a state of swapna or dream or sleep. Nidra is also called a state of dream, that is swapna, which means it is void of awakening. According to Charak, when an individual, inclusive of senses, gets exhausted and they dissociate themselves from their object, individual sleeps. We, that is our senses, get exhausted and hence we sleep. If we have a good and sufficient sleep, we feel rejuvenated. What is good and sufficient sleep? Mandlik Guruji always gives a questionnaire to test the quality of our sleep for ourselves. Here follows the questionnaire. And you can judge and give points to yourself according to the questionnaire given. The first question is, after lying down, how much time it takes to go to actual sleep? You get 25 points if you sleep within 30 seconds of lying down, and you get 0 points if it takes you half an hour to sleep after lying on your bed. How many times do you wake up in between the sleeping hours? If you don't wake up at all, you get 25 points. If you wake once in a while, you get 15 points. If you wake up twice, you get 5 points. And 3 times and plus, you get 0 points. You can just give yourself the points you deserve. How many dreams do you see at night? If you don't see dreams at all, give yourself 25 points. If you see one dream, you give 15 points to yourself. If you see two dreams, then your points are 5. And if you have 3 or more dreams or a series of dreams in your sleep, you get a 0. The last question in the questionnaire is, how much time it takes you to come out of bed after ringing of the alarm. If you immediately wake up, you get 25 points, and if after some time, you get a 0. Just give yourself the points you want. We know that we sleep because we get exhausted. What do we achieve from sleep? What is the purpose of sleep in our life? The first is physical and mental rest. Our body and mind becomes stale after a certain period, like a computer screen. Sleep refreshes both our body and mind, thus increasing our energy, our ability to focus on our work, increase mental functions, and help better organizing, coordinating, increases our speed in work by removing dullness. One most important purpose of sleep is healing. Our body and mind also heals itself, repairs itself during sleep. Suppose we have a general headache or stomachache and we sleep. After waking up, we find our pain has either reduced or gone. Similarly, if we were sad or angry while sleeping, a general mood condition, not a disorder, we wake up fresh. All bad mood is gone after a good sleep. Charak Samhita describes the importance of proper sleep in one of the sutras. Sage Charak says, happiness, misery, nourishment, emaciation, strength, weakness, virility, sterility, knowledge, ignorance, life, and death, all these occur depending on proper or improper sleep. This slide shows the effects of good sleep quality and poor sleep quality. Good sleep quality improves our immune system, improves brain functions like concentration, memory, cognition, and productivity. It improves and makes better our calorie pattern as metabolism is improved. It increases emotional and social intelligence, and it lowers the risk of mental disorders like depression. Whereas, on the other hand, poor sleep quality leads to weight gain, loss of appetite, reduces our productivity, affects glucose metabolism, and increases risk of diabetes, increases inflammation in the body leading to IBS, and affects ability to recognize social cues and process emotional information. How much do we sleep is also an important factor. Here are some points regarding the quantity of sleep. Too much or too less sleep is harmful to health. 6 to 8 hours of sleep at night is sufficient. Avoid sleeping during the daytime. How sleeping well at night is effective is described in Ayurveda as Bhutadhatri. That means, as a mother nourishes her child with milk, so does the normally occurring sleep at night nourishes and refreshes the person. Bhagavad Gita agrees with having sufficient sleep, but stresses that success in yoga is not possible if you sleep too long or too short. It also states further that the happiness derived from sleep, laziness, and delusion is sheer ignorance. Hatha states that in the Parichaya state of Nadanusandhan, one can get rid of old age, illness, sorrow, hunger, and sleep. The Patanjali Yoga Sutras mention sleep as one of the vrittis or modifications which embraces the feeling of voidness. Abhava pratyayalambana vrittir nidra. Let us now move on to the third pillar of Trayopastambhas, Brahmacharya or celibacy. Brahmacharya, in one sense, is abstinence from physical indulgence. This is required for both physical as well as mental health. In other broader sense, Brahmacharya is leading the path of Brahman, the infinite reality. Our inner souls are all Brahman, but we are just unaware of it, trying to see the Brahman in ourselves and all other souls is the path of Brahman. In a practical sense, Brahmacharya is limiting ourselves from experiencing all sensual pleasures. We all have an obsession to the materialistic objects. Our senses are always pointed to the outward direction. Directing our senses to the from the outer world to the inner self is Brahmacharya. According to Ayurveda, seminal fluid is the last dhatu or tissue formed out of marrow. Ayurveda suggests protecting semen in order to enhance health. Ayurveda states that it takes 40 drops of blood to create 1 drop of semen. Thus, it should be utilized only for the purpose of reproduction and not for pleasure, as pleasure is a wastage of semen. Conserving it largely increases our vital energy. Patanjali Yoga Sutras also state gaining vital energy through Brahmacharya. It states in the second chapter, Brahmacharya Pratisthaya Virya Hatha Pradipika states that success in yoga can be achieved through observing celibacy. It also states that the awakening of Kundalini is possible only with the practice of brahmacharya and mitaha. Here are some practical rules to follow continence. First is you have to avoid thinking of any other woman in your mind. Second one is you have to avoid listening eagerly anything spoken about any other woman. You have to avoid speaking to the other woman. You have to avoid looking at the other woman. You have to avoid giving a smile or laughing or sharing jokes with the other woman. You have to avoid communicating with her in a lonely place. Avoid touching and avoid having intercourse with her. We have thus seen how these three factors, ahar, nidra, and brahmacharya, contribute in our physical and mental well-being. Following the prescribed path, we will be able to gain spiritual well-being as well. Our health depends on the three supportive pillars of ahar, nidra, and brahmacharya, and so does our practice of yoga and success in it. A balance in everything is the most important requisite for our holistic well-being. We should try to maintain a balance in our practical life to attain support from these Trayopastambhas, three supportive pillars. We should try to maintain a zero level on the meter of all pleasures and deeds in our life. Ideal zero is not possible, but we can always try to bring the pointer nearer and nearer to it. Hari Om.